documentary filmmakers, gentlemen who know what is happening in Haiti, Dan Cohen and Kim Ives, and you can follow their work. I have all their links in the description box down below, and I will have their links as a pinned comment as well. But Dan and then Kim, where can people find you? Plug the places that people can subscribe to your work.
First of all, thank you guys, Alex and Alex, very much for having us. Great to be on the stream. Big fan of the show. My work, so I have my own site I founded called Uncaptured Media. You can go to uncaptured.media, which just goes to my Substack where I publish. On Twitter, I'm at Dan Cohen 3000 and at Uncaptured News. And then our documentary, which Kim and I made together, called Another Vision Inside Haiti's Uprising. You can find that on my YouTube channel, on Uncaptured Media's YouTube channel, under playlists, or also on Haiti Liberté's channel, which Kim, is the English language editor for Haiti Liberté. So on either of those places.
Fantastic. Kim?
Yeah, well, I'm
It's the French in the 18th century, led by Toussaint Louverture, all the way back when I was a student. And it was about the same time I remember reading a novel by Graham Greene, The Comedians, about the time of Papadoc in Haiti, the very brutal dictatorship that existed at that time, which was in the late 50s, 1960s, 1970s. In fact, it dragged on for decades, that very cruel dictatorship. And yet, in a kind of a way, about the internal, what's actually going on in Haiti today, it's very difficult to get news. One hears that things are very difficult there. We have an uprising of some kind going on in Haiti at this present time. But reports about it give us incredibly little context, very little information. It's all explained in a very sort of simplistic way. And if we're talking about the current uprising in Haiti at the moment, it's basically, if you go to our media in Britain, for example, where I live, it's all about collapse into chaos, a takeover by violent criminal gangs, a descent into massive disorder, with the outside powers, primarily the United States and Britain and other countries, doing their best to try to keep the thing ticking together and helping it along, but always being confounded by the forces of disorder within Haiti itself. And that's never seemed to me to be a remotely satisfactory explanation of the events in Haiti. So it's actually a great relief to be speaking today to people who actually have some understanding, who have actual knowledge of the subject. So with that rather lengthy introduction, let's get on. We are looking at an uprising in Haiti at the moment. Lots of things being said about it by the media. Is it indeed a criminal takeover by drug gangs moving to oust a government which, for all its imperfections, has been doing its best? Is that what the situation in Haiti is really all about? I mean, that's what the impression I get from reading The Guardian and listening to the BBC. But does that actually describe the situation we have at the moment?
I mean, either of us can feel this. I guess maybe I'll take a stab at it and then pass the baton to Kim. I mean, I would say that is the complete inverse. The description you gave of drug gangs taking over the country. Basically, drug gangs have been running the country in the form of political parties, and the gangsters are not guys in sandals so much, but rather guys and big weapons that are worth more money than they'll ever see in their life in the slums. But they are the elites in offices who fly back and forth from Miami to Port-au-Prince and live elsewhere and have their kids live in another country and go to school in another country, and they traffic drugs, they pay criminals, they pay armed groups to do their dirty work, these kinds of things. This has been the status quo of Haiti for, a few, really, I guess, since this is what has emerged since the U.S. essentially decapitated the Haitian government and essentially Haiti with a series of coups d'etats against its first democratically elected president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, who was overthrown by the U.S. first in 1991 and then again in 2004. And so now we're seeing basically Haiti organize itself, the masses who live in the slums, in the ghettos, in the worst conditions that I've ever seen. I mean, if you go into the slums and you see people, we see pictures of it, when they talk about the horrors of Haiti and people living in tin shacks, these sprawling slums, and they collect water from the rooftop or from the ground, and there's cholera everywhere and disease and sickness, and people can't live in these conditions. So we're seeing them basically in a sort of organic way rise up from these slums to reject this regime that has been imposed by the foreign powers, principally the United States, but also by its kind of imperial subcontractors in Canada and France. So that's how I would describe it. Maybe Kim will be able to give, I think, a much more his own take.
No, that's I'll just compliment yours with an E compliment. And I, of course, too. But the group that Dan is describing are what the Haitians call the gangsters in ties rather than the gangsters in sandals. And
No, it will never get resolved, Bill. It'll never get resolved. How's that for an answer? I can't find, I'm looking for it, but I can't find my certificate for Nextbridge hydrocarbons. On December 8th of 2 Decembers ago, Nextbridge, MMTLP did its last training. On December 9th, that was the record date. On the 9th, they halted trading. On the 12th, you should have had the 9th and the 12th to trade. So one thing that was promised to you, Bill Cooper, if you bought MMTLP, which I did, is that you were to receive a couple of days where you could have traded in the middle of a short squeeze. Probably. I mean, no one knows. That's the unknowable. But it looks like this, I can't find my certificate. It looks like the stock actually traded on the 9th, maybe pre-market, maybe not, as high as $4,000 a share. FINRA stopped trading. They halted trading. So FINRA, if you, Bill, have had any doubt who FINRA is there to protect, it's not you. It's not me. It's to protect Goldman Sachs and Ken Griffin and Stevie Cohen. After all, he bought the Mets. He's a local hero. You got to protect him. Everything I say on this call is in my opinion and my judgment and with my best judgment. So that was taken away. That's never coming back. The other part, that was a choice you had on those 2 days, the 9th and the 12th. You could sell it. Or if you, and by the way, you'd have to sell it with a short settlement. But anyway, if you held it through the dividend date, if you already held it through the record date, what Wall Street owed you, Bill Cooper, is 1 share of Nextbridge hydrocarbons for every share of MMTLP you want. Now, I've just spent just now, I thought I was organized. I cannot find it. But last year, I resolved my MMTLP position for my regular account. I requested that MMTLP be distributed to me as Nextbridge hydrocarbons in physical form. They did that in August of last year for my regular account. Now, I'm in the middle of trying to resolve my MMTLP for myself, not leaving it to anyone else. I'm asking that E-Trade first move my shares from my IRA to my regular account. That was accomplished weeks ago. And now I'm told I will receive this week, although I haven't gotten it yet. It's a test. At some point, they're going to run out of shares. I'm going to receive those shares in physical form as well. I don't trust it yet because I've gotten a lot of excuses, but I believe this week or next, I will have my shares out of my IRA. Bill Cooper, that is my resolution of MMTLP. I will have made sure that I received my shares 1 for 1 in Nextbridge hydrocarbons. Now, Nextbridge hydrocarbons is authorized to have 500 million shares outstanding. They currently have something like 256 million. 500 million they're authorized. So let's assume those are completely outstanding. They're not, but let's assume that. Let's assume they have Let's assume they have 3 billion barrels of oil recoverable. I've heard numbers as high as 11 billion, and I've also heard that you have to add the 11 billion to the 5.7. I've heard that they have 3.2 billion to 5.7 billion barrels. I don't know. Let's use 3 billion. Let's use 3 billion. Instead of multiplying that by $30 a barrel, which is what Exxon paid for Pioneer, let's use $15 a barrel. I'll try to get the lowest possible number for you, Bill Cooper. So 3 billion, which is the lowest level of recoverable reserves I can come up with until I see an engineering report. I'm trying to be conservative. We'll use $15. I come up with that quick calculation, $90 per share. So you can be a pussy, Bill, and just wait. When is MMTLP going to get resolved? When are they going to do something for me? Why isn't Congress helping me? Why aren't all of these people working hard for me? Or you could say, Bill Cooper, I'm a man. I'm going to take charge of my own situation. I'm going to get my shares of MMTLP registered in physical form as Nextbridge hydrocarbons. There's 500 million shares of Nextbridge hydrocarbons authorized. Half of it is actually issued. There's somewhere between 3 billion and 15 billion barrels of oil recoverable. I don't know. I used the low end. And proven reserves sell for $30 a barrel. Use $15 a barrel. That gives you 45 billion in an acquisition. You divide that by all of the shares. That's $90 a share. That's how you, Bill Cooper, can resolve MMTLP. You can resolve it, Bill Cooper. You have in your power the ability to get your brokerage firm to issue to you via the transfer agent 1 share of Nextbridge for every 1 share of MMTLP you hold. And if you see in my calculation, you could double that 90 to 180. On the other hand, you could cut that 90 in half to $45. Whatever you want to do. All I'm telling you is your shares of Nextbridge are worth on paper more than you paid for them. So that's how you resolve it. You don't wait for others to try to get a resolution. You don't wait for others to go to Congress and walk the halls. I've never seen you there. You don't wait. I strongly recommend, Bill Cooper, hang up, stop listening, call your brokerage, and get your shares of MMTLP in motion to the transfer agent so that you own Nextbridge. Now, what's going to happen, Bill Cooper? Because you sit on your hands. When's it ever going to be resolved? Instead of doing it yourself, what's going to happen? As soon as whatever the exact number is, 164,720,440 million shares of Nextbridge hydrocarbons are spoken for, Bill Cooper, then you're a victim. Then you're exactly where you want to be. You can bitch and moan. I got screwed. How did this happen to me? Wall Street's corrupt. Gary Gensler's a goober. All those things we agree. But if you sit on your hands, it's your fault. Get your Nextbridge shares. As soon as this is full, what happens, Bill? What happens, Bill Cooper? As soon as that's full, you're going to see panic. Hey, wait a minute. I didn't get my shares in Nextbridge. Hey, can I still get in? Move my shares. The answer is going to be no. You can't move them after this is full. Then, Bill, all right, I've shown you how you can resolve it on your own, but you don't seem to want to resolve it on your own. So other than resolving it on your own, There's 4 resolutions that could happen, Bill Cooper. 2 days trading. If you push for this, you're going to lose all your money. But it's out there. That's one of the resolutions that the hedge funds are paying people to push. The criminals are pushing this idea on Congress. 2 days of trading. You'll get 0 back. And then you'll say, oh my gosh, why wasn't it resolved? I didn't do anything, but others didn't do anything for me. The other is you can wait for Congress or the regulatory authorities to do something. I know people, Bill Cooper, it's not you. I know people who are going down to Congress every day, who are calling into Congress every day, who are writing emails to Congress every day, who are calling their representatives every day. It's not you. But you can wait for Congress. What do you think the odds are in an election year that Congress is going to do jack shit? Or you can wait for the regulators, Bill Cooper, to wait for them. You've got Goober Gary Gensler that doesn't care about you, doesn't think about you, doesn't think about individual investors. He thinks about Goldman Sachs and cleaning his rear end so it can sit in a posh seat next to Hillary Clinton, the president, in her cabinet. You got Adina Friedman that doesn't care. She makes $2 million a year. You've got Robert the Crook Cook. He doesn't give a hoot. And you've got the 3 or 4 C's gentlemen over at OTC, Cromwell, Caldwell, Cruella DeVille, whatever his name is. They don't care. So you can wait on this. My guess is if you're waiting on Congress and the regulators, you've got at least a 2-year wait, Bill Cooper. And for a man of your patience, that might as well be forever. Now, the other way is attorneys are suing, and there's the legal process, and there's the legal system. All by itself, I think that takes 8 years. I think that takes 8 years, Bill Cooper. And then there's the broker-dealers. What could happen here? These are the people that are pretending there's no problem, but they know there's a problem. If you, Bill Cooper, it won't be you, because you just sit on your hands and you let other people do the work and you complain. But if you take control of your own situation, Bill Cooper, and as many people do, and we get the 164 million, 5 million shares accounted for, and Nextbridge continues to develop their fields, and they prove up 7 billion barrels of oil, or oil goes to $150 a barrel, or they start producing out of the university lands well. I'm not sure I have the correct title. And they start paying a dividend. If this happens here, I can't write this, but if the broker dealers, if Nextbridge becomes really valuable, visibly valuable, then the broker dealers will settle with you big time, Bill Cooper. How long does that take? It's an unknowable. I'd say within a year. If Nextbridge is able to prove up its reserves, get a lot of excitement going, So what's the next step before Nextbridge is going to do that? You got it. Send your shares of MMTLP into the transfer agent and get shares of Nextbridge Hydrocarbons so that Greg McCabe has in his hand a bazooka. When he goes to the conference table, he can sit down, put his bazooka on the table, and sit there quietly while all the lawyers yammer away at each other. And he knows that he's got the biggest argument at the table. Why? Because he knows that 165 million shares have been claimed. That means all of the shares at the broker dealers do not exist. He also knows that he's just made his company worth $600 a share. But the next step, Bill Cooper, either you come into Congress or stop complaining. Either you move your shares from MMTLP to the transfer agent as Nextbridge, or you're just going to be a victim. Move your shares. That's how you resolve it for yourself. Well, I'm used to, I'm in the snowflake generation, and you're being threatening to me. You're not being very kind to me. They took advantage of me. Well, Wall Street's just that way. They steal. So if you get shares of Nextbridge Hydrocarbon, do you miss out on a dividend? Do you miss out on a cash settlement? Do you miss out on pain and suffering? Do you miss out on penalties? If you, Bill Cooper, say to me, well, I want to hang on to MMTLP because I'm going to miss out on my dividend, I'm going to call you out. They'll pay out to everybody in a settlement. I'm talking about in a settlement. There'll be a cash, a dividend they'll pay out to everybody. Sorry, I'm mixing these two. If there's a dividend that Nextbridge declares, the people who own Nextbridge Hydrocarbons will get the dividend. But the broker dealers will have to pay the MMTLP people. But how do you make sure you get it right away? You move your shares to Nextbridge Hydrocarbons. You resolve the problem for yourself. It's not hard. Now, if there's a cash settlement, let's say that the broker dealers get around a conference table and they agree to pay $1,100 a share. $50 goes to the lawyers, $50 goes as a cash distribution. Well, Nextbridge and Greg McCabe is going to say, if there's that cash settlement, you got to pay not only Nextbridge, but also MMTLP, or vice versa. You've got to pay MMTLP and Nextbridge. So no, you're going to get the dividend. You're going to get a cash settlement. Will you get a payout for pain and suffering? Again, you have Greg McCabe at the top of the table. They negotiate with the lawyers a pain and suffering for MMTLP. Greg McCabe is going to say, all right, you're doing it for MMTLP, do it for Nextbridge. So you'll get that. Penalties, same thing. Great, you got Greg McCabe up there. All right, you're paying penalties for how you hurt shareholders in MMTLP. You got to pay the same amount to Nextbridge. So you're going to get all of that if you move your shares to Nextbridge. Well, when is it going to be resolved? Resolve it yourself. Move your shares. Move from MMTLP to Nextbridge. Hang up this call and do it by 5 o'clock today. The only negative, Bill Cooper, to moving it to Nextbridge, there's only one negative. Is if there's a settlement paid of $1,150, I'm making it up, $50 to the attorneys. $50 to the attorneys, $100 cash payout. You'll get it if you're Nextbridge. That leaves $1,000. That leaves $1,000 in cash, net of costs, paid out to the MMTLP if this were to happen. In this example, $1,000 paid out to the MMTLP shareholders at your broker dealer. The only risk of not owning MMTLP and owning Nextbridge, this $1,000 will come into your account as cash. But what do you give up for that? Risk, risk, risk. Maybe it never settles. Maybe it's 10 years from now. And you don't know it's going to be that high. But if it were that high, let me just point out, if you're in Nextbridge, remember that Nextbridge has 250 million shares outstanding. I think it's 260. They still could issue 250 million to the criminals to settle up. Guess what that price would be? In my example, it'd be at 1,150 a share. And then they'd have to distribute, as I said. So that would mean your shares of Nextbridge out of the gate at that moment would be worth that much to the market. Now, they might do some sort of calculation to haircut it, but they may also do it to increase it, because remember, this price is based on the reserves that Nextbridge has proven up. I don't know what the price is going to be. And frankly, I use a high number so that when the lawyers on the other side watch, they have to start at a high number. There's sleazeballs. The criminals are sleazeballs, and their attorneys are one step removed. Sleazeballs removed. But anyway, the reason the payout would be this high is because the shares are worth that much. So you won't miss out, Bill Cooper, by moving your MMTLP over to Nextbridge. Stop crying in your beer and move. Get off your ass and move your shares from your broker dealer to the transfer agent. Do it now. You're running out of time. Anyway, that's my advice. Like I say, I got my about two-thirds of my shares already sent to me last year, 3/4. I don't know. I'm not good at arithmetic. I'm getting the rest of it supposedly this week, but we'll find out. It might already be too late. E-Trade might already have run out of shares. And if it's the case that I've run out of shares, then I don't have this option. But right now, Bill, you can resolve your own situation. Move your shares now. All right, I'm done. I won't bring it up again. That's it, Johnny. Thank you. I'm just talking to a screen and I have to look at myself. Nightmare City. All right. Let's see if Ham wants to come on after that diatribe on my part. All right, I put it out to Ham. Oh, I don't mean Richard. I mean the attorneys that represent the criminals. Sorry, Mexican. I should have made that clear. I thought it would be obvious, but I think the attorneys who represent the criminal hedge funds and the criminal thieves are themselves sleazeballs. Those attorneys are sleazeballs as well. Gibson Dunn represents FINRA, represents the SEC, but they also represent the Kramers. I think Gibson Dunn has sleazeballs. Anybody that represents a sleazeball, as far as I'm concerned, is a sleazeball. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have. Guys, you're running out of time to make the move. I'm holding on. Each day I check my mailbox. I was told when I called on on last Friday that I'd have my shares this week. If I don't have them by tomorrow, I'm going to call again and I'm going to ask, are you really sending them? All I can tell you guys, once all the shares of Nextbridge are allocated, everybody that hasn't moved is going to feel, one, naked, two, like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do it? That's my opinion. And then all you have is a chit. Right now, in my shares that are at E-Trade, it's a chit. Yes, it is a chit. But it's also backed up by the potential of shares available so it can become Nextbridge shares. And I wish I could find my Nextbridge shares to show you. I've shown them before. I can't find them right now. Darn it. But Nextbridge, when it's as it is now in your account, it's going to show zero. So you're going to go, oh God, they took my money. No, you're lucky. Everybody here, we don't realize how fortunate we are. One, it's an oil and gas company, which is, as Jimmy Rogers says, in the future. Now he's talking about farmers, but farmers is a real resource. Oil and gas, real resource. He says in the future, farmers will drive Maseratis, stockbrokers will drive taxi cabs. The financial markets are out of whack. It's all fraud. The guys at the top put Adina Friedman in so she can hold back the gates while they steal. They put in Janet Yellen and Powell and Goober Gensler in. Hold back the barbarians while we steal. We are going to steal. That's what's going on, but it's going to collapse. What's going to be left? Real assets. Real assets are energy, metals, timberland, farmland, water. We need, even though none of these trades have worked yet, and they may well do, we really need to start acting as if we have power of our own decision making. We are able to make our own choices. And our goal is to become independent of this debt-based, corrupt financial system. We are each going to become our own independent central bank. We're not going to have debt. We're going to own property, maybe, maybe not. We're going to own gold and silver. We're going to own oil and gas. And we're going to own assets that are removed from this manipulation. We might speculate in some of the short squeeze plays to add to our so-called wealth. But our wealth will not be the US dollar. Our wealth will be how many ounces of gold do we own? How many barrels of oil do we own? How many apple trees do I own in my orchard? That's why we've got to start thinking. Or we can just say, when's the resolution going to happen? I'm telling you, I've tried now for over 2 years on MMTLP, pushing for, if not 5 years on these other stories. I am convinced by all of this that Gary Gensler does not give a damn about individual investors or integrity of the financial markets, or whether or not Goldman Sachs and the rest of the big boys follow the law. He doesn't care. So we got to do it ourselves. We got to do it ourselves. Can you be honest about this? Is there any hope or chance left with ZJYL? What do you mean, can I be honest about this? What do you mean by that? I don't know if you're a real person. I would suggest you should sell at a loss and move on. But my information on ZJYL is that there was additional short selling, which has been absorbed at these prices rather than at higher prices. And that not only is there a hope or a chance left, I believe that ZJYL will move first, could move next week or the following week, but those are presuppositions. I don't know for a fact, but I think ZJYL can go into the hundreds of dollars a share. But if you can't, all right, here we go. Hang on. This is weird. I've got to. All right, I got to get this speaker. Yeah, I had the speaker ready.
Battery 80%.
I don't know why the speaker goes away. All right, that you should be live.
All right, everybody. I'm going to go through this quick because we're at the end of the day. I put up a bunch of posts about the video. I told you about it yesterday. It's going to go to 925, went to 926. That's where I said to short it. It dropped back to 909. I said I put it on Twitter, sell 80% of it. It bounced up to 920 something again. There's your range. All right, till it changes. You sell the rallies, you buy the dips. You can do it all day long and make yourself, if you want, you can make yourself a quarter, or 30 cents, or $1, whatever the hell you want to do. Boeing, I told you the other day that the government's not going to let Boeing go out, and you expect it to rally it back. It rallied from 180 to 190. These are easy trades. I'm showing you this stuff because you have to learn to help invest and make money for yourself down the road. All right? Eventually, this naked short selling fraud is going to go away. William, I posted about Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Jefferies, Interactive Brokers, Morgan Stanley. All the stocks are at highs. They don't even get commission on trading anymore. Where are they making all their money from? Everything they do is a profitable trade. Everything, they have no losing trades. All of them at new highs. Look at them. Just look at them. It's impossible. All right. Every one of them is going up. You're telling me Jeffrey's got the same type of clients as Goldman. Goldman's got the same clients as Morgan Stanley. That's all bullshit. They must be naked short selling like Interactive Brokers all day long, stealing whatever they can, because it's impossible. It's impossible. They're killing Apple, taking up the brokerage firms today. They're just manipulating the market to make it look like everything's great. All the brokers are screaming today. That means everybody around the stock market is doing great, which again is all bullshit. All right. Finger motion. I know there's a couple of guys trying to buy sizable positions. They asked me how to do it. I told them never chase it, just accumulate it. And you can see there's a different view of the stock today from yesterday. When there's bids there, they stop. When there's no buyers, they cross and manipulate. It is what it is. We have to watch it like a security guard, watching these stupid things all day long. All right, you can see the manipulation. ZJYL was at 4.25. The buyers stopped. They let it drop straight down. You know, I talk about TELO. Went public at 7. They drove it to 4.5. It was 4.70 the other day. Went back almost to 7 today. These are stocks that are just basically starting. What's the volatility for? The volatility is to steal your money. A couple of people have been pissed off. GTI's at 30 cents. And they're asking me, what am I going to do? What would you like me to do? I post to call the cops every day. It's been 30 cents for a month every day. How's that possible?
Because they don't settle the trades.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to address the people that have a stick up their ass and looking at me like I have to do something about it. I posted the capybara. Frankie Nez did a story on it being a short and distort. You know, they got attacked. All right, we're waiting for the federal judge in the Southern District to slam capybara. He'll be 0 for 2. All right, and hopefully Mark can address what really happened in the courtroom. When these guys are admitting to committing security fraud, how are they not being locked up? And if they're not going to be locked up, I can only tell you, go do it yourself. Say anything you like. If they're not going to be locked up, short and distort, you write the reports and you have a friend buy the puts. That's all you have to do. You don't need to short the stock. Go buy puts. You could go buy Apple, 180 puts, 175 puts, spread the story, whatever you want to say. You can say anything you like. The Department of Justice has to lock this character up. And then it's going to lead to who allowed him to post it on Benzinga? Did he pay Benzinga? How does Benzinga allow these things to happen? Jason Resnick has to answer those questions at Benzinga. Allowing false reports to be posted on his website so that he can disseminate it to all the other brokerage firms that are paying it for him, E-Trade, Ameritrade. If anyone has Benzinga on your platform, take 5 minutes, write a letter to your brokerage firm, and let them know about what they did in SHOT. They're posting stories, and Benzinga's posting them. How do you let a guy give content to your brokerage firm so that you see it and you panic out? That's what's going on here. That's another crime. Now you got the short, distort, and the distribution of the stories. I'm not the cop here. I'm just telling you to protect yourself. KNW, I keep posting the story up. I don't care about the company. I hope he does cure or whatever he's doing with his diabetic product. I hope he helps everyone out. But anyone who invests there is going to get crushed because he has to pay back Lynn. William read all the gory details about that debenture. And it's not pretty. It's like the mafia. It's worse than the mafia. Where's the FBI? Go after this guy. This is complete fraud. Usury, as Mark Brazil said. You can't charge these amounts. It's ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, William, I can't remember everything.
Somebody's asking for me to be honest, is ZJYL still have a chance? And I said yes, but
I'm going to be dishonest. My friend who owns way more than all of us put together, everybody here, okay, and they're not worried about it at all. And I'm in GDC. I couldn't buy ZJYL. I'm down $2 in that stock. $2 in a stock that I paid $3.80 for. I'm down $2 in it. And my friend said, don't worry. So what am I supposed to say? I just told you what he told me. I worry. I look at it and I worry, but I'm assured by somebody that don't worry, it's going to go. What else can I say? Look at GTII. I know we have the Kramers and Alpine dead. The proof is right there. Am I worried? Shit, yeah. Where's the SEC and the DOJ? How come they haven't locked anybody up yet? Capybara put a short report on finger motion. They attacked it from 7 down. We all know it's tied to Lynn and their partners. We all know it caused the debenture. Am I worried? No one's enforcing anything. We're doing it. We're all worried. I told you, if they're not going to do anything, go do it yourself. Make up your own shit. Steal whatever you can. No one cares. It's the Wild West. You don't have to say, I told you. It's all there. Capybara. Just follow what he's doing. All I have to do is say, I'm sorry. Okay. Let me steal. Finger motion, the number was 720 down to 2.25, right? Let's say $5 times 50 million shares. $250 million in market cap was wiped away. And all Capybara has to say is, I'm sorry. Go get an illegal immigrant, make them write their name, sign the thing, put them on a LLC and put up fake stories. Give them $50 a day and you destroy and steal all you can. That's what Capybara is. That's the U.S. equity markets. Alpine is tied to the Depository Trust, the most important organization in the U.S., the stock settlement system. And they have Alpine looting and doing who knows what. They finally kicking them out, and they're fighting the state. I don't even know what they're doing. That's the U.S. equity markets. You got Capybara writing fake reports. Andrew Left writing fake reports. The Alpine is a prime broker that's in the system. He's in the same system as Goldman Sachs is. That guy. Now, I'm not saying Goldman Sachs is an angel, but I'm sure they stand up and if there's a problem, they will pay the loss. Alpine's just going to walk away and put, hey, we're out of business. I'm going with my wife at Scottsdale. We're going to go do something else. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. We're doing our best to expose it. If you want to do anything, people, anyone that's listening, please post on Twitter an idea for the truck. I've been thinking about it. I want to put the truck out. The only place seems the best place to do it is at the SEC. So give me some ideas. Send it to William, whatever you think it is, and I'll get it done. But I need some ideas. I'm blank. Say whatever the hell you want. I could care less. And figure motion, once again, go look at the CEO's video. Do some homework. All right. We don't know ZJYL. We're following somebody. GDC, we don't know. We're following somebody. GTII, you got the facts and the proof. The Kramers were the shorts. They're the toxic lender. We know Alpine is the prime broker, and the NSCC told us there's a concentrated short position in that house in the prime broker. There's your GTI information. There's nothing else to say about it. That's it. The company's doing a deal. Do you think they're going to put in the cure for cancer in a week? They're building a company, whatever it may be. That's not the problem. The problem is the government. Stock settlement. Where is everybody? MMTLP. Why didn't they give the information out? If it's so easy, if it's not a crime, why don't they show us the Blue Sheet investigation, how many people own it, and how many shares were sold illegally? 500 days of this nonsense? It's ridiculous. We're doing everything to try to protect you in anything that we've spoken about. Someone says, oh, the shorts are following me. Short KNW. I'm begging you, kill it. So no investors will get wiped out. Because you know what's going to happen. Investors are going to buy it. The CEO is going to pump it up. Lynn will destroy it. They'll reverse it. And everyone will lose all their money in the stock. They have to pay back Lynn the money. Go read the press release about the money. Go read the devil in the details. It's right there. What else, William? TELO. They knocked it the other day from 9 to 470. It's back up to 682. What is this company doing? It's in business 25 days to have volatility like this. It's insane. It's complete fraud. Someone is short, they can't cover. That's what I see in this stock. It's impossible. It's a public company, 25 days. Insane. Kodak, 1.5 billion shares short. Wolf, over 1 billion shares short. Finger Motion, 210 million plus 2 million real shorts. I told you there's big buyers around. They're not stupid. They came in yesterday. The stock was at $2. They were offering it. I know one guy pumped 50,000 yesterday, and these other guys buying it today. They know that it's going to turn back up. They're not stupid. They know manipulation when you can see it. It's the end of the quarter, whatever the hell it is. P from Philly wrote something about that. I don't keep track of the quarters and the, whatever they're doing there, the hedge funds. They're trying to mark it down. What's a dime on 200 million shares? Right? It's a lot of money, right? $20 million. What's a quarter, right? There's another 20, 40, $50 million mark either way. That's why they sell more, they spoof, do anything to get you to sell. That's all it's about. Anything else, William? How you feeling? You still alive?
I'm still alive.
All right,
Somebody
listen,
says
I'm getting close and pulling the trigger. I'm buying tickets, so I'll let you know tonight, tomorrow when we're going.
well, just put me in the
Don't fucking die on me.
put me in steerage.
If you die, I'm taking you with me anyway. So I'll prop you up like a weekend at Bernie's.
I want port out, starboard home.
GTII still 30 cents. Listen, I gotta run. I gotta grab my
All right.
son. I'll speak to you
All right.
later.
Thank you very much.
you.
Bye. All right. I forget who said, yeah, I'm not so much upset at one person, but on MMTLP, I cannot understand why people aren't moving. And I could be wrong. Maybe there's something I'm missing, but you can hear by my emphasis, if you want to put it politely, I think people that do not move their shares are setting themselves up to be victims. And we've given it a long fight. I'm personally don't think the fight's over, and I think the fight is going to win. But I think if we move our shares, one, we take control of our own situation, and two, we give Greg McCabe the tool he needs to go kick some butt. Fill it up. Take the debate away. When he sits across from a high-priced lawyer, attorney, and I don't know what the difference is. I've been corrected that I'm supposed to say attorney, not lawyer. I don't know what the difference is. He can say, hey, whatever's in your client's accounts is all fraud. You have to make good on it. How do I know? Because in our transfer agents books, on our transfer agents books, every single share of 164 million whatever has been allocated. Full stop. So the music stopped, boys and girls. And you guys have a chair to sit on. Yeah, I look like Bernie. I look like I never saw the movie, so I don't know. I know it's Weekend at Bernie's, but I never saw the movie. Well, that's true, Beery. I debated that for a long, long time. Too long, it looks like. The advantage of having your shares in your IRA is if you get a settlement, or if it were to be resolved in another fashion, which I cannot really figure out. I mean, I suppose the broker dealers could pay Nextbridge for new shares, and they'll just put shares in your IRA. It's possible. But in an IRA, you don't have to pay the taxes. On the other hand, I think there's a good argument to be made to the IRS that we've held, once you get shares of Nextbridge, you've held it long term. So you're talking about a 20% tax on a gain plus the Obamacare. So it's probably around 23-24%. But you're not paying that tax until you sell anyway. So I don't know. I agree with you. That's why I delayed so long. And I also wanted to see what happened, but I gave up. RW. Now you're making me feel bad that I said get off your ass, but I really think you got to move it. I thank you, RW, for doing that. Yeah, how do you think he feels? I hope, if it's true that he died, I hope he's in a much better place. I do think that he tried to show you, Winter, and many, many people a way to make money in the over-the-counter markets. Just like the rest of us, his judgment wasn't always correct, but his vision, I think, will outlive him, and I hope we all make money in his honor, so to speak. And I think it's worth. I think it's worth saying a prayer for him. None of us know exactly what happens, but I think prayers help maybe with God's decisions. And yeah, it not only sucks, it's a shock that he has died. All right. Once it's full, you won't be able to transfer your shares, and that's why I'm being so. I don't know what overcame me, but I am being that forceful because once the transfer agent is full, so to speak, you can't transfer, and then that chit just becomes worthless. All that shit is worth is whatever the lawyers do to sue in a class action, and they'll take 40%, and it'll take forever. I could see a decade. On the financial side, with the pressure from Congress, with the pressure from possibly some journalism, you could see movement toward a settlement forced on the broker dealers. But what's really going to kick it into high gear is when the transfer agent is full, and assuming that Nextbridge continues to have the success they're having, the value goes up. The broker dealers don't want to lose money. That's the one thing they understand. They don't care about the laws. They don't care. Gary Gensler protects them from settlement. They don't have to settle trades. Even though it's in the rule book, they don't have to do it. So that's why I'm being so forceful, because I think what'll happen, there's 65,000 of us, and I'm feeling like I'm not getting my shares, and I don't have that. This last little bit's like 1,500 shares. It's not the end of the world. But I'm going to be upset if I don't get my shares. But my point is, if I'm feeling it just for 1,500 shares, imagine people out there with 20,000, 40,000, 10,000, 5,000. If one day Junk Savvy comes on with her voice made for radio and a face made for the movies, if she comes on and says, well, I just heard that Chucky Schwab can't deliver anymore, and Morgan Stanley's out of shares. Oh my gosh, the panic is going to be big. And so that's why I just want people to do it now. I already think it's too late, maybe, but why wait another day? Why wait another day? And the other benefit, if the transfer agent is full, is that gives Greg McCabe the final tool he needs to go to the system and get this payout that I think each of you, me, we all richly deserve, I think. What's this one? OCGN. I know. I came on late for that reason. Yeah, maybe water. I have something here. It's not water, though. I don't think it's water that I need. I think it's some sort of suppressant. Let me look at OCGN. That sounds familiar to me. Ocugen. No, that's not the one I was thinking of. Huma Kamar is the CMA. Let's see what she... Multiple therapeutic areas, gene and cell therapy, vaccines, oncology, melanoma, sarcoma, women's health, rare tumors, rheumatology, dermatology, neurology, cardiology, hepatology, and infectious diseaseology. Gene and cell therapies. It's amazing they short all of these companies. Yeah, I don't, let me look on a stock chart. OCGN. Wow, nice looking chart there. That's a nice chart. Not that charts matter, I suppose, but that is a nice chart. Let me see what 3 years. Well, 3 years doesn't look so good, but still, it's a good chart. It's moving, and I think it, it's gonna, once it gets to 2, it'll pause at 3, but once it breaks out of 3, that should go back at least to $8 or $9 or $10. That chart's behaving well. OCGN closed at 134. Hey, Scott. Lion was talking about it. Lion thing. You're free again. Lion's pretty good with his calls. You did. I remember that's where I heard about it. You're right. I remember you did that. Lion's pretty good with his calls. Let me see what your broker's saying. Shares are in process. Yeah, I apologize. You're getting the same answer I'm getting. I called short sucks, I think 8 times in. Each time, oh, it's in process. I see it here. I see it here. And I keep calling. And they told me it would be, they either said 2 to 3 weeks or 2 to 4 weeks. I think it was 3 in my case. And even though I started, I think at the end of January, I asked them, what is the date you see as the start of the process? They said, for me, they said March 1. So that's why they think it'll be here this week, because that's the 3rd week. But I think I hate to say it, I think you can trust, if your broker's saying it's in process, that those shares have been allocated to you. I think you can trust that. But if it's futile, you just become someone that has to write a letter, join a lawsuit. That's what I want you to avoid. I want you to avoid that. Yes, I'm saying send it all. Send it all. That's what I'm saying. But nothing but the best. I don't know how many shares you have. I did it the way you did. I sent only what was last August. I sent only what was in my normal account, and over the last 2 months, I've decided to send what's in my IRA, and so I had to move it from my IRA to my regular account and onward. Yes, it is my recommendation you move everything to the transfer agent. Why? I just went through my spirited, it would be a polite way of saying it, reasoning. But the main reason is you can resolve your own situation by moving it to Nextbridge. And I don't think you give anything up. The one potential thing you give up is cash liquidity if there's some sort of settlement. The other thing is, like, if you're doing it like me, you're moving out of an IRA, like, shoot, I forget who just said it. You give up Beery, I think it was. You give up the tax shelter of an IRA. But those two minor potentials are more than offset by the fact you don't pay taxes until you sell it anyway. I think any settlement that occurs that involves the legal system and involves a sign off, I think Greg McCabe is going to make sure that all parties benefit. So I think if you're in Nextbridge, you might even get a chance to undo your decision. This is speculation on my part. You're in Nextbridge, they might give you an opportunity to turn it in for the cash settlement of MMTLP. Why? Because they need shares. They're going to need shares. The system is going to need shares if and when that settlement comes. So I don't think you're giving up anything, is my point. But what you're gaining is you'll know that you own shares of a vibrant oil and gas company. Is there risk? Sure, there's risk. It's an oil and gas company. But from everything we've seen, let me just go to Nextbridge, and I'll just read the I'll just read the headlines going back-assward. Now let's go the correct direction. I'll go from the bottom. December of 2022. Nextbridge announces completion of the spinoff from Meta Materials. December. Nextbridge announces merger agreement and 5% unsecured promissory note. January of 23. Nextbridge announces filing registration statement. February of 23. Nextbridge provides statement regarding spinoff. February of 23. Provides operational update. May of 2023 acquires remaining working interest in the Ora Grande project. That's a vote of confidence. June of 2023 names McCabe as board chairman. July of 2023 announces filing of S1 to benefit existing shareholders who register their stock directly with the transfer agent. That's for that little stub ownership. August of 2023, Nextbridge Heiderkaizen provides answers. August of 23, Nextbridge announces debt to Meta Materials has been purchased by Gregory McCabe. Why would he do that unless he weren't confident? August of 23, Nextbridge enters into participation agreement to fund the Johnson prospect. January of 24 this year, Nextbridge announces preliminary results from the Johnson prospect. February of 24, Nextbridge provides updates on registration statements. February 24, Nextbridge releases a statement. I'll go back and read that. The final one, Nextbridge releases statement regarding Equinity's share transfer process. My point of reading all these, this is a company making progress, keeping you informed, and growing. That's a bad way of using that word. They are showing growth in their underlying asset. They wrote about the U3 halt. But listen to this. Listen to this. Unfortunately, we believe this is a consequential blind spot in FINRA's data because foreign firms have approached Nextbridge about procuring more than 2.65 million shares. FINRA said as of December 12th, there were 2.65 million shares out of 165,470,000. So I got that number wrong. It's 165,470,000. So anyway, yes, nothing but the best. I really think you should move your shares. Don't just sit there. Don't just sit there. For some time, I listened to the idea that there's going to be a settlement soon, and I thought, well, what am I really risking? But it's now been a year and a half almost, and I think there's verifiable value in the Oro Grande prospect. I don't know. I don't know how to. If we said there's 1 billion barrels recoverable, just 1 billion, and we used $5, that'd be $5 billion divided by, since I went low, I'll just divide by 260 million shares and see what that gives me. So if you start with a $5 billion purchase price, divide it by 260 million shares outstanding, that's $19, a little over $19 a share. I mean, that's really haircutting everything. So, but what my point is, nothing is, by owning Nextbridge, you have that, whatever that is. That's as crushingly conservative as I can be. But once this is allocated, you'll have an IOU at your broker dealer. If your broker dealer goes bankrupt, or if the lawsuit gets carried on for 12 years, or if Wall Street crashes and Congress issues some sort of immunity because the banks have been so valuable to us, with, we can't live without them. I just think you really have to take control of your own situation. Gary Gensler's not going to do anything. Adina Friedman's not going to do anything. Robert the Crook Cook is not going to do anything. Your broker dealers aren't going to voluntarily do anything. Congress is all tied up on whether Trump is a misogynist or Joe Biden actually fought for women's rights, or whatever issue they have in front of us on a given day. Congress is not going to do it without a massive amount of effort. So, yeah, I'm saying take control of your own situation. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. And I think we're lucky, nothing, for two reasons. One, we're able to participate in what is essentially a private placement in an oil company, which is actually successful. Most of us couldn't participate in those private placements. Some of us could, but some of us would never hear about the private placement. So we're lucky for that. I think this is a high quality private placement. Private placements mean you don't have liquidity, but generally you have the potential for enormous multiple upsides. The second thing I think we're really lucky with is Greg McCabe and his entire team and the other large investors. I think they're all on our side. I do not think they're on the side of Wall Street. I do not think they're on the side of the criminals. And I do not think they will hire attorneys who are on the side of the criminals. The management team is Greg McCabe, 40 years of experience. He was extremely active in the early development of the Wolfbone play of the Delaware Basin, which is part of the Permian. And he's able, therefore, to bring the theories of Masterson, the geologist, here to Oro Grande. He also has his own oil and gas company. Roger Wortel, the CFO, broad range of experience, accounting, corporate finance. He was CFO of Torchlight Energy, so he's been there from the beginning. And Torchlight was destroyed under the auspices of FINRA, NASDAQ, OTC markets, SEC. They don't care. They don't care. They're there to protect the fat cats. They're there to protect Larry Fink, Ken Griffin, whoever runs Goldman Sachs, Jamie Dimon, Stevie Cohen. They're there to protect the wealthy and tilt the playing board to the wealthy side, to their advantage. Then they have Delvina Olkers as the COO. She was an asset manager, or the asset manager, at Eclipse Resources and the completion manager at Montage Resources. Managed engineering teams, cost efficiency improvements, innovative technology, led operations teams, and M&A transactions. And she, I guess she's done a lot with lateral drilling. So anyway, she's great. Then Robert Lance Cook, not the crook cook at FINRA. This is Robert Lance Cook as a director. He has a lot of experience in, the Arctic and other unconventional resource plays. He founded his own oil technology firm, worked with Shell and Halliburton. Anyway, and Geosystems. So he seems like he's got 36 years of experience. Looks like a great guy to have on the board. Then you have Mia Pitts, another non-employee director. Mia was general counsel, senior counsel at Marsh McLennan. She was a litigator and regulatory compliance lawyer at Freshfields, Bacchus, Derringer, one of the world's oldest law firms and largest. The U.S. Security and Exchange Commission, she fought before them. She graduated from Georgetown University and Barnard College of Columbia. I wonder if she knew. Well, anyway, I can't remember her name. Then there's Kristen Whiteley, or is it Kirsten? Kristen Whiteley, CPA. She started at Whiteley Penn in the energy and mining industry. She joined Vista Minerals. She's managed finance and accounting, human resources. She graduated University of Texas at Austin and from Texas Christian University's Neely School of Business, MBA. She's one of oil and gas investors 40 under 40, drilling in the North 40. Anyway, it's a great team at Nextbridge, and I think we're lucky to be able to own that. So that, yes, I'm recommending you move the entirety of your position. That's what I'm recommending. All right, I think I God, I'm sorry, I'm sound like I belong in a home. But okay, Lion of all trades is a great guy. So there you go. Lion of all trades is a great guy. All right, Tom, I believe you. I believe you, Tom. I believe you, Tom. All right, what's this? Am I supposed to move from Nextbridge? No, not from Well, I don't know what his advice is. You're supposed to move to Nextbridge. Move to Nextbridge. Move to Nextbridge. Move to Nextbridge. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Let me talk about this, Steve Petchke. E-Trade gave me a bunch of different answers, but it all circled back to what they're telling you. I think it's fine. If they send the shares to you, accept them. Say, great, that's wonderful. Because what'll happen, Steve, and I know this because it happened to me last year, and you can dial in to the transfer agent, Twinkle Toes, whatever it's called, some name you can never remember. Kapinski, no, I can't remember the name of it. AST, but it's something else now. You can dial in as soon as they send it out. They've already opened an account for you at the transfer agent. You can dial in, type in your social security number, and they'll go, Steve, we show that you own 12,230 shares of Nextbridge hydrocarbons. If this is not correct, please contact. And so it'll be showing on your transfer at the transfer agent as soon as they FedEx those shares to you or send them by U.S. mail. So yes, that's perfect. Have them send the shares to you. Now I have my shares here, although I can't prove it to you. See, I have a file, but it's empty. So I don't know where I put them. I put them somewhere here, but I have my physical shares here. I do think it makes sense to talk to the transfer agent and send the physical shares to the transfer agent. This is how I would do it. I would send the shares in one envelope and one cover letter, and in a second envelope, I would send my stock power signature with a second letter. They can put them together when they receive them. Or just hold your shares. The reason to do it now is it's probably not going to cost you anything. to send them to Nextbridge. Let me look up the name of this transfer agent. Equinity or something. Some stupid name. Yes, Equinity. I know. Let's use UQUI like equities and Ninity. We'll use UQIN like I like equity, and then we'll add NITI like nitty. Equinity. What a clever name. Equity plus nitty. Anyway, so Equinity, I forgot my point. Right now, Equinity will probably accept your shares for nothing. But I could see in a couple of years, if you find it in your top desk drawer and you try to send it in, they'll say, no, we can't accept it. You've got to get it back into the electronic system, and it'll become a nightmare and it'll be expensive. So while I'm not as forceful on that issue, it does make sense once you receive the physical shares at home to forward them. I would call Equinity first and get them to Equinity's. Once they're in Equinity's account, they're physical, but should Nextbridge someday in the future start trading, you can automatically have your shares transferred to your account. I hope Nextbridge never trades in the public markets. At least they don't. I hope they don't trade in the public markets for long enough that the shorts cannot get surcease by moving their large naked position over to the Nextbridge position. So anyway, that was a rambling answer, Steve. It's perfect. If they're going to send the shares to you at your house, and then you call into Equinity, let's change our name from American Stock Transfer. What could we call it? Well, we could call it like in equities, and Nitty. Ugh, what a name. So it's perfect, Steve. I think that's absolutely perfect. And I'm glad you're doing it. I really am glad you're doing it. Well, what they told me originally was what they told you, and that's what they did last year. But then for a couple of weeks, they were telling me, oh, no, we have to do, what's that thing called? DRS or something? Direct register, DRT. Anyway, they were going to do that. And I said, oh, so you can send it directly to the transfer agent. That's fine. I said, I didn't know you could do that, but you can do that. Fine, do that. And I called back 2 or 3 times. And then they said, well, actually, sir, we have to send the certificate to you. And of course they do, because it's a private company. They can't just direct register it. They can't just send it electronically. What does rhyme with nitty? Well, I can think of a couple of words. Do-wah-diddy. Do-wah-diddy. Let me see, RW. I don't know Schwab, RW. They told me your shares are with Nextbridge. I checked my account and it does say Nextbridge with your 2,000 shares. I don't want to disappoint you, but I would call the transfer agent. The transfer agent should show your 2,000 shares. If Schwab's telling you you have your shares and they just typed Nextbridge to it on your statement, they're lying. They're lying. I think they're lying. But I'm not positive that maybe that's the way they're going to do it. Maybe what Schwab's going to do is just tell everybody they have their shares and come hell or high water or whatever happens later on. But and I'm thinking. I think I would ask them, I would talk to Schwab and I said, okay, you say that my account has my shares in it. Yes, there it is. It says Nextbridge. Okay. I'm going to ask you to thank you very much. That's the best news I've heard for over a year. I'd like to have those shares transferred in my name to me or to the transfer agent as soon as possible. See what they say. I think this might be the way they're figuring they can just, I don't know, RW. I think they may be obfuscating. Let me look at my let me look at my account. I have to sign in and see. Maybe they've done that for me too. I mean, if they've done that, RW, they are really doubling down potentially. This whole thing we don't know for a fact. Okay, I'm going to see what it says here for me. Nope. Nope. They don't have it for me. Mia Pitts is gone. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. She has a nice name, Mia. So RW, tell me my shares are with Nextbridge. Just call the transfer agent. Maybe they do have your shares at the transfer agent. That's fine, Lou. If they send you the certificate, the moment it leaves their shop, before you receive it, you'll be able to dial into Equinity, type in your social security number, and the disembodied voice will say to you, we show you own 1,272 shares of Nextbridge Holdings. If this is not correct, please contact. So that's fine. Send the certificate. That's my opinion, and I'm being very forceful on it. All right, Lion is agreeing with me. He's being very agreeable. All right, let's see what Frank said. Okay, perfect, Frank. With iTrade, and transfer them. That's great. That's great. It may take up to 30 days. Well, at least you started it. I started mine in, I think January, but February for sure. They have a, timestamp of March 1. So my 30 days, if that's it, aren't quite up. But the last guy I spoke with, he said 2 to 3 weeks and I should have it. So I'm still hopeful I'll get my shares. Last time I received my shares, it was pouring down rain and the mail guy or woman put everything out and it was full and it was totally soaked. But the certificate survived. The letter, the letter that was attached wasn't very pretty, but the certificate survived. All right, what is this? Yeah, if they send the certificate to you, that's fine. And you'll receive it at home. I wish I could show you mine. What did I do with it? Anyway, you get a certificate and the risk is, oh my gosh, what if there's a fire? How do I prove it? Well, one thing you do, take a picture of it and put it up in the cloud. Secondly, call in to AST. Even before you receive it, call each day. I needed to do it today. And see if they say how many shares you have. Maybe I can do it. I won't do it now because it's 4:40. Maybe tomorrow I'll do that live and show you how that works. Johnny Walker. 500 to transfer. Pete, I think that's unfair. I paid $60 and you know, I think it shouldn't cost anything, but instead of arguing over $60, I said, okay, because, you know, let's say they have to FedEx the certificate. Let's say the certificate has to be FedExed from someplace to someplace to get reprinted. I don't know. And then it gets to E-Trade, and E-Trade has to FedEx it to Equinity. I don't know, $35 plus $35, that's $70. So I figured 60 makes sense. But I think 500 is way too much. I did transfer from my IRA, but what I had to do was move my shares from my IRA to my regular account. They read something to me that said basically this could be a taxable event and all that. Even though I think the shares have value, I think from an IRS standpoint, and you better check with an accountant, but I think it's defensible to the IRS that the value is zero. Or the only other price you could possibly use is the closing transaction price on December 8th, which was under $3. But I would argue, because of all the uncertainty, that it really has an unknowable value, and to the IRS, the transfer should be at a zero cost. Now, what that does, though, is it makes your cost basis zero. So ultimately, when you sell it, you have to pay capital gains on the whole amount. But I'm not an accountant, so you got to check get better advice than mine. That one, I'm totally confused by that one. Yeah, there is a number. It's right on the website. I'll give it to you. The website for okay, that's not it. That's this one. All right, Equinity, Frank, is 1-800-937-5449, 1-800-937-5449, or local number, just a US number, 718-921-8124. Let me try it right now.
Battery 80%. Connected to Bill's iPhone.
Welcome to Share Owner Services. Sorry, I didn't get that. Say or enter your social security number. If you need a moment to find it, say hold on or press. You currently have 3,005 shares of Nextbridge Hydrocarbons Inc. common stock. Main menu, please say account information.
Call ended.
So that's what I have. I'm rich. That's as easy as it is. Now I'm still waiting for my 1,400 or whatever it is. 15. It's not 1,500, but it's something like that, to come. So the number is 800-937-5449. 800-937-5449 or 718-921-8124. 718-921-8124. Not as confused as I am after reading that. $100, I would pay it. I think it's high, but I would probably pay it. Your brokerage firm will set up the account automatically, but you can do it. You're right. I'm disappointed because the shares haven't been transferred yet. It should already show. It's too bad. So I think we're running out of time on that. That's great. It's awesome. I would, Well, I'll read them again. I don't know. If you're international, you have to do +1 718 921 8124 plus 001 718 921 8124. If you're in the United States and toll free matters, you dial 800 937 5449. 800 937 5449. From Massachusetts. I don't know what to tell you. They're in New Jersey, so unless New Jersey and Massachusetts are at war with each other, I don't know. All right, so we're running out of questions. I don't know. Today I was short-tempered again, I guess. I'm probably from not feeling well. But I think I have made it clear where I stand on what people should be doing with their Nextbridge shares. Thank you, Lion. You can also email help, AST, at equinity.com. It's always the nut behind the wheel. Let me see if that's the number I have. Yeah, that's the number I have. I think for a couple of reasons. One, you're taking control of your own destiny. And two, it helps Greg McCabe finally be able to say to the lawyers on the attorneys on the other side of the conference table, hey, pals and gals, we have all of our shares allocated. So anything you're talking to us about, you got to take care of it. Well, that's true, DeVilio. Let me read that. That was last year, wasn't it? Let me see if I can find it. Okay, maybe it's this one. In July, Nextbridge has filed an S1 related to a distribution by Nextbridge of non-transferable subscription rights to receive at no cost common shares of a new subsidiary of Nextbridge to be formed in the future, NewCo. The non-transferable subscription rights are only being distributed to eligible stockholders of Nextbridge. In order to be an eligible stockholder to receive the subscription rights, holders must register their Nextbridge common stock directly with the company's transfer agent, Equinity. It says American Stocks Transfer and Trust. Prior to the close of business on the 60th day after the Form S1 becomes effective. And I think that'll cause a rush for people to move, by the way. And you must maintain that registration with the transfer agent for 6 months. Further, in order to be an eligible holder of the shares of Nextbridge, holders cannot be a bank, broker, or other nominee. See, they don't want the shorts to get this. Determined by the company in its sole discretion. They're on to the shorts. Or 2, you cannot be a beneficial owner of Nextbridge common stock that is being held by a bank, broker, or other nominee. Nextbridge will be entering into a contribution agreement with Greg McCabe, the company's largest stockholder and chairman of the board of directors, and McCabe Petroleum Corporation. Under the terms of the contribution agreement, McCabe will be contributing a portion of his 10% back-end interest in the Oro Grande prospect to Nextbridge, and McCabe Petroleum is contributing to Nextbridge a portion of its interest in oil and gas leases that constitute a drilling prospect located in Vermilion Parish, Louisiana, called the Bronco Prospect. The back-end interest and the Bronco Prospect are both described at length in the prospectus. In accordance with the terms of the agreement, McCabe and McCabe Petroleum will contribute a proportionate amount of the back-end interest and the Bronco Prospect based on the number of shares of common stock of the company, which are owned by eligible stockholders for the subscription rights as of the record date versus the total number of shares of common stock of the company that are outstanding as of the record date. It's pro rata. I mean, you get your ratio. In the event that all of the outstanding shares of Nextbridge are directly registered with the company's transfer agent, Mr. McCabe and MPC, the company, will be contributing all of their interests in the back end and the Bronco Prospect, respectively. Mr. McCabe plans for all of his shares to be directly registered with Nextbridge agent. I mean, well, here's his quote. This is last July. McCabe said, quote, "Since taking over as chairman of the board of Nextbridge, I have had the opportunity to review the efforts by the Nextbridge management team to pursue a short-term trading window and to request that FINRA require all individuals and entities holding short positions be forced to close those positions. The efforts by Nextbridge were thorough, rigorous, and quite compelling. Unfortunately, FINRA did not find it had the authority to issue a corporate action requiring all short positions to be closed if a trading period were to occur. While this decision may be disappointing to some of our shareholders, Nextbridge accepts the authority of FINRA on this matter and is going to move forward with the business of running our company. You're so lucky. We are so lucky. In an effort to give Nextbridge and its shareholders the best chance for success, I have made the decision to assign proportionally my 10% working interest back in after payout in the Oro Grande project." So he has a 10% working interest back in after payout. So, I mean, I don't see the documents, but the way I would understand this is after he gets all of his money back that he's given the company in some format, he has the right to this 10% working interest as a back end. Well, he's going to give that to us and his interest in the Bronco prospect in Vermilion Parish, Louisiana. For the benefit of all shareholders, who move or have already moved their Nextbridge shares to AST from their broker-dealer accounts. I strongly believe that having all shares of Nextbridge at AST will provide significant value to the corporate governance and communications with Nextbridge shareholders. I have personally begun the process of moving all my shares to AST. Well, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. And Clifton Dubois said something as well, but I'm not going to read that. Let me see if, yeah, I don't see the prospectus, darn it. Yeah, I don't see the prospectus. But no. No, they can't. What I'm worried about with RW, though, Martin, is if a brokerage firm decides to double down on the fraud, I'm not with Schwab. What they could do, and I'm making this up, what Schwab could do is say, hey, we gave you your shares. They're in your account. And they could just print 2,000 shares, Nextbridge hydrocarbons in your account. And you go, wow, I have them. Yay. And you'd say, I trust Schwab and I trust America and the system is working and everything's great, and you forget about it. But it could just be an entry in your account. So I do worry that I think companies can still hold certificates in safekeeping for you. But as far as I know, and in my own experience, no major brokerage firm holds any certificates for customers in safekeeping. They don't hold certificates in type 1. They only hold them in street name. So if your brokerage firm says you have Nextbridge and it's in your account, I wouldn't trust it. I wouldn't trust it any more than I would trust certain people. So the only way to be sure you own your shares is have them transferred to Equinity. Let me see, David, what your question is. But no, they cannot send a certificate if it doesn't exist. And that's the whole thing, Martin. I think another aspect of doing this is we're going to put it to the man. We're going to put it to the system by giving Greg McCabe what he wants, a chock full transfer agent, and then we'll see what happens on Congress. We're thinking your beneficiary is automatically transferred. I don't know about that. I would guess they would do it, but I'm not sure they have the authority. So, David, I would call Equinity and say, I'd like to put a beneficiary on my account. That's what I would do. Or I'd like to check who is the beneficiary on my account. I'm not a lawyer, but I can't believe that your brokerage firm could move shares. I can see where they can set up the account automatically for you because that's what they have to do to move the shares. But I'm not sure they could set up your beneficiary. Maybe. Maybe it's in the document that you signed that they have the right to do that. I don't know. I would just call. I wouldn't assume. Yeah, they're still waiting for S1 approval, but that doesn't mean we have to wait. Eddie, my point is, and the reason I got so, I guess, kind of worked up, I just called in front of you and God, and my last, whatever it is, less than 1,500 shares has not been registered yet. I'm not sure I'm ever going to get them. I don't, that's how close I think it is. If I get them, I'll be happy. If I don't, I'll have to smile and say, at least I moved 3/4 of my position or 2/3 of my position. But I wouldn't, Eddie, I wouldn't wait for S1 approval. If it's in fact 65,000 of us out there, I know on Busy's calls and Junk Savvy's calls, Anna's calls, thousands of people listened. And I'm pretty sure, I don't want to speak for her, but I'm pretty sure that Junk Savvy is recommending to people that they move their shares to the transfer agent. Please check with her on space calls because I don't want to misspeak, but I think that's what she's recommending. She, I think, acknowledges, as do I, that there are reasons not to move. I can't think of any really good reasons, but it's, everybody can have their own opinion. I've been in the congressional offices, I've been in meetings. It's not hopeless. And in fact, I think we're gaining a lot of traction, and other people than myself are doing the yeoman's work. But I stand ready to go down at all times and do what I can too. But I just see it taking time. They're going to take as much time as they can. The system, Gary Gensler is in there to cover up this fraud. Gary Gensler is in there to lie to Congress. Gary Gensler is in there to hide the fact from the United States people, from anybody in the government that actually cares, from the international markets, that US markets are riddled with unsettled trades on a scale that's unbelievable. If it were admitted, the US markets would collapse. So they don't want this information out. That's all. And that's why I think they'll take as long as they can. Everything's algorithms. Yeah, Capybara has the right, apparently, to issue whatever it issues. They get premier listing at Benzanga and on people's accounts. There's no checking on it. If a CEO came out and said, we're excited about our earnings and we expect record earnings in 3 weeks, but he didn't disclose that in a press release, they could sue him for manipulating the stock price. Yeah, you got to verify. You got to verify. Got to verify. You got to verify. So is anybody in an NCAA tournament? Let me see if I signed up this morning. Let me see if my bracket automatically updated. I'm not good at, I never win. But let me see. Okay, Join group. All right, let me see how, oh, I'm at the bottom. I'm tied for 16th place out of 25 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people. I'm tied for 16th. So I'd say I'm right in the middle of the pack. Oh gosh. It looks like one person picked UK to win. One person picked, is it Indiana State? North Carolina. What's the Wolf? Is that UConn? So I guess a bunch of people picked UConn. I picked Purdue, but unfortunately, so did 3 other people. I thought I was so clever. I thought I was so clever. Okay, so I got, does it update it automatically? How do I tell? I'm all confused. All right, so I picked Illinois over Morehead State. I guess I got that one right. I picked Brigham Young over the Dukes. I got that one wrong. Darn it. And then I have the Dukes playing. Oh, Illinois is not over with yet. I see. I got it. So I'm catching the hang of this. I was correct with North Carolina, but I was wrong. Darn it. I was wrong. It's how hard is it? I picked Mississippi State and I was wrong. All right. So 2 wrong so far. I'm correct with Arizona. I'm correct with Creighton. Hey, that's good. Yeah, not pretty. So I'm wrong. I've got 1, 2 wrong so far. I think that's it. 2 wrong. And that puts me in tied for 16th. Oh, well. You picked Tennessee? Tennessee. Let me see what Tennessee is ranked. Tennessee is number 2. I have Tennessee going to the final in their quarter, whatever you call that. Is that Sweet 16? I don't know. I have them going all that far. But then I have Tennessee playing shoot, I can't tell. Oh, I have them playing Purdue and then Purdue beating them. We all picked MMTLP. Yeah, David, I think partly why I'm being so hard on everybody is, and I've felt that way too. Oh, we got screwed and all that. But, and I think we did. I think that stock was trading at $4,000 a share on Friday morning when the lovely attorney at FINRA stopped trading. And now she has a great job somewhere else because she's so talented and she can put on her CV that she managed Jessica Hopper, that she managed FINRA's operations or something. But I think we're lucky with MMTLP. I mean, I just did the lowest possible if they have proven reserves of 1 billion barrels and someone buys those proven reserves for $5 a barrel, it's worth $20 a share. I know that's not exciting, but it's a heck of a lot better than a poke in the eye. I personally think the recoverable barrels are going to be at a 3, 4, 5 million barrels, billion barrel range. But I don't know. It's the one thing I do not know. I haven't seen an engineering report. We don't know how much it costs to lift the oil. In other words, we don't know how much it costs to get it out of the reservoir, up and through the pipelines and to the buyer. We don't know that. But $5 seems to take in any kind of high cost. Anyway, I think we have a nice investment there. And if you're like me, I paid $8, like $7.96 for my shares, like an idiot. I think we're looking at 5 to 10 times on our money. It's, I don't know. It's better than what it could have been. Let me see RW. I just called. They said I don't have an account. Yeah, CRW. Isn't that suck? They lied to you. Or to be fair, the person you spoke with just doesn't know what they're talking about. But isn't that terrible, RW? I don't think your shares are at AST. So, and by the way, if it turns out that you can't move them, just take a deep breath. You've got great attorneys from Richard Hoffman to Rosa to that other guy. I forget I don't think his name is Robert. Anyway, another guy, all fighting. And then you've also got Greg McCabe, everybody. So and I'll still keep fighting, even though I don't know what I get to do. Oh, you can tease me on my picks. I'm sure I'm going to lose. It looks like I picked Arizona to beat Long Beach. How hard was that? So Arizona won. But now I picked Nevada, but Nevada is losing to Dayton. And I almost picked Dayton. So that doesn't look good for me. I picked Oregon, and they're winning. Such minor things can keep me happy. Like I said, I picked Brigham Young. That was a mistake. I picked Illinois. So Illinois looks like that'll be all right. Can't believe stupid Mississippi State. They got whooped. 23-18, Dayton versus Nevada. Looks like I'm going to lose on that one. Oh, well. As long as I don't finish in last place, I can hold my head high. Tyson's Foods. They just closed a ham factory or something and hired 50,000. Picked Iowa State. Let me see where Iowa State is. Iowa State is, number 2 in their bracket. I have Iowa State going to whatever that is. Is that Sweet 16? I think. I have them winning 3 games. Winning 3 games. That's what but then I have UConn beating them, I think. Yeah, I have UConn beating them, the Wolves. But I picked Purdue because I think they have a chip on their shoulder. That was the extent of my analysis. But I bet UConn wins. But I figured everybody else would be picking UConn. Well, thank you, RW. I feel badly that I got upset. I wasn't upset with Bill Cooper. I was just upset in general at this whole nightmare. And my frustration shows up in my voice. Yeah, exactly. I think what they were trying to get you to do was to go, oh, my shares are there. And that's why, RW, I think it's really important. Call them. Tell them you want it transferred. Get it done, because right now I think there is stock available for the squeaky wheel, But you're getting the last hotel room in the hotel. You're going to be given the presidential suite because you caused such a squawk because it's empty. But they're running out. I think we're getting really close to the end of it. And thank God for what Junk Savvy's doing. I'm not putting words in her mouth, but I think she's encouraging everyone to move. I think she's doing the Lord's work. And I think people are going to be happy they moved, because then it's yours. You know what I mean? It's yours. And when you start arguing with the system, at least you own what's yours. I wouldn't trust the system for as far as it could throw me. They're going to get, speaking of Bernie's at breakfast, they're going to get Bernie's at president reelected. They're already putting it in the news, how Trump's having trouble and this is that, and he's so popular, and you're gonna wake up November 6th or whatever day it is, and Joe Biden's your president because he's so great. The single most popular president in the history of the United States. 81 million votes. 81 million. More than Hillary Clinton, who had 3 million more than Trump. More than Barack Obama. Obviously more than Trump. Joe Biden is a political movement. We haven't seen the popularity as president reflected in one man as Joe Biden in the entire history of our country. And he'll be reelected. I wouldn't trust the system. Okay, let's see. Hidden Valley Pickleball. Do you see a scenario? Hey, lucky boy. Or Nextbridge allows Naked Shores to buy in for 1K a share, and then we all go to Nextbridge. Well, I've only got this small little thing here, but what I think the settlement, part of the settlement will be, I'm going to make up a number. I don't know if it's true. Nobody knows for sure. I think there's 500 million unsettled shares of Nextbridge. Well, that's the wrong way to put it, of MMTLP. 500. Okay. Well, Nextbridge, let's just use round numbers just to keep it easy. Nextbridge has 250 million shares unissued. Well, I mean, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I see a clear solution staring everyone in the face. At least can't read my writing. But I see an obvious solution is that Nextbridge issues 250 million shares and sends them to the criminals, and the criminals pay Nextbridge $1,000 a share for 250 million. That solves half the problem. To me, Nextbridge should expand its outstanding shares and maybe sell 500 million shares for $1,000 or 1,500. I think it should be a high number. I don't think they should let these guys get away with it. Now, that means the criminals won't go to jail, but the criminals are going to have to put up a heck of a lot of money. That'll make Nextbridge one of the most powerful independent oil and gas companies in history. Better than Oxy Petroleum. That's what I think is going to happen. Cash is going to come from the criminals to Nextbridge. Shares are going to go to the criminals from Nextbridge. And unfortunately, no one will go to jail. Lawyers will get rich, and they'll make us sign. They'll make us sign releases, and then, you know, the journalists that exists will say, "Well, you can't prove that." You know, there'll just be a settlement that no one talks about. But yeah, I think that's what'll happen. I think it's artificial. I think it's because the earnings are disastrous and Finger's been lying to you all along. And it's been a big scam job on my part to you, artificial. And I think that's a disastrous, just disaster, artificial. I would sell everything. Obviously, I was being facetious. It's such a stupid question. But what does it matter? What does it matter? Their year ends, if you listen to the video, but you obviously don't do any homework. If you listen to the interview, their 2023 becomes 2024 because it ends in the first quarter. So as you know, artificial, the first quarter is comprised of January, February, March. Right? Yeah. So the final quarter of their reporting year, which is the first quarter of the calendar year, January, February, March, artificial. Typically, earnings, in my experience, can take 45 days, particularly on as it's the end of the year, to be collated and reported. So add 45 days to the end of March, my dear artificial. You've got April, then May. So you're in the middle of May. Oh my gosh, they're pushed back to late May from middle May. It's a non-event. But thanks for asking an idiot question and trying to cause everyone to be upset. Apparently, Rick Lou died. I'm hoping that he's still recovering from whatever it was, but I've seen it from too many places now. So it's a sad thing. God, Mark knows a lot of stuff. Mark knows a lot of stuff. So RW, I want to know what happens. We can talk about it tomorrow, but ask for those shares to be delivered, because everything becomes a lawsuit after that. Exactly. I think Finger is going to have positive earnings. I don't know that it'll be this quarter, because that's for the last year. I think it will be. But I think in the summertime, Finger is going to have positive earnings. And people like Artificial will have to go, oh my gosh, why did they post positive earnings? I thought my short position was working so well. I worked so hard to counterfeit shares. This is a hard life. You don't know how hard it is to hit the sell button when shares don't exist. And all I have to do is create FUD by asking inane questions like that. Why is your wife going to come home half an hour late? Who knows? Something came up. It's not the end of the world. All right, let's see how I'm doing with 1 minute to go. Illinois is beating Morehead State. I'm going to get that one. And boy, I bet no one else picked it that way. I missed Michigan like an idiot. And Nevada is now beating Dayton. And it's going into halftime, but Nevada is beating Dayton. So I might win that one. Creighton beated Akron. Can you beated somebody? I picked Oregon. Looks like I'll win that one. And oh no, they're not playing yet. So I can't get worried about that one yet. Okay, none of those are playing. Oh well. All right. It's 5:30. I think I've spent my energy today. Just to be clear, I think we're going to have a great end of the month in Finger. Let me look at the calendar. The month ends next week. So I wouldn't be surprised if Finger does some good things before the end of the quarter. That's my opinion. It's not a promise, just a prediction. But I think you could see good things for Finger coming up, and that'll disappoint artificial unintelligence. That'll disappoint him big time. I think good news is coming for Finger. And I think ZJYL is going to have a great week next week. It's not a promise, it's a prediction. And I think, what else? Yeah, I'll just leave it at those two for now. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just signing off. You didn't miss anything. I got pretty adamant about MMTLP, and whilst I maybe should have toned it down a bit, I feel very strongly that everybody can resolve their own personal MMTLP position by moving their shares to the transfer agent. And I don't think you give up very much. Possibly you give up liquidity at some point in the future, but I think it's so far down the road. It's also equally likely that Nextbridge could be sold before any kind of settlement runs its way through the court system. So I see no reason to stay at the. I don't see any reason to trust your broker dealer. I don't see any reason to trust Gary Gensler. I don't see any reason to trust Robert the Crook Cook. I don't see any reason to trust anything on Wall Street. So I would get my shares. I would trust Greg McCabe over anybody on Wall Street. Anybody. There isn't a person I would trust on Wall Street over Greg McCabe. And that's not so much that everybody on Wall Street's crooked. It's just most people on Wall Street have their blinders on. Oh, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. No, who would allow that to happen? Systems are in place. We have systems in place. Bull crap. There are no systems in place. When it comes to cheating is set up on behalf. I'll give you one example. I read it yesterday. Just Rule 203B1 and 2, locate requirements. The rule generally prohibits a broker-dealer from accepting a short sale order in any equity security from another person or effecting a short sale order in equity security for the broker-dealer's own account unless the broker-dealer has borrowed the security, entered into a bona fide arrangement to borrow the security, or has reasonable grounds to believe that the security can be borrowed so that it can be delivered on the date delivery is due. Those are the rules. It's right there. They give an exemption if you're a market maker. So they use these shitty market makers. But the rule is you have to locate. You have to locate, and then the closeout requirements. Under Rule 204, participants must deliver securities to a clearing agency for clearance and settlement on a long or short sale in any equity by settlement date, or must close out a fail to deliver in any equity security for a long or short sale transaction close out a fail to deliver for a short sale no later than the beginning of regular trading hours on settlement day following the settlement day, T+4. They don't do this because they're good. Oh, they're good customers. They give us so much commission. But even if you do it intraday, you're breaking the law. Yeah, I know. I'm getting. Maybe I am. I don't. No, and they'll put it up on Twitter that I lost my cool. Maybe. I don't know. I do the best I can. I got my. Who's this? Got my certs. Good for you. Good for you. I wouldn't sign that certificate, and I would not sign the stock power and include it in that. I would do 2 letters, but I would talk to them first because you don't want them to lose it. Or if you trust the mail system. The problem is if you have signed the back of the certificate, you could have made a mistake. So don't do that. If you sign the stock power and it's with the certificate, Joe Blow could get the mail at his house and cash out your certificate. So I'd send 2 different ones. How can you do that? You know what's funny about mine? I have those subscribers and I appreciate every one of them, but that hasn't gone up in a year. So I wouldn't look to me, Lion. I don't know that I'm being successful. I'd like to get to 10,000 subscribers. I've never asked anyone, I don't think I ever have asked anyone to hit like or subscribe because I hate it when people do that. But yeah, you can get there, Lion. You'll get there. That's pretty good. I don't have fancy F-ball, but Arca's doing good. Arca, the thing that comes across from Arca is that he really cares about his audience. Same with Ace, in my opinion. I think Avid also you could include in that. I don't know the answer how to do it. I'd like to get more so I could make money. I don't really make money on this. I think I'm getting a check for $300 this month or something. But I look forward to when we can talk about some wins. We can actually be productive. Everything we've invested in so far relies on a CEO and a board not listening to the liars across the table from them at Lynn Partners, Power Up Lending, Yorkville Advisors. I'm not going to say Ionic or Aubrey because apparently they're great guys. But these CEOs believe, and it's really not their fault. It's Gary Gensler's fault. It's Adina Friedman's fault. It's Robert the Crook Cook. It's Chuck E. Cheese, Charles Coulson, Coulter, Cool Million over at OTC Markets. It's their fault. And it's your broker dealer's fault. They don't settle the trades. Uh, he spells it with a W. Um, CEO. And it's so bad. That is so bad. I think Avid is a good technician. I really do. And I think what Avid does is he lets the chart tell him what the chart tells him. And in other words, he stays true to the chart. And I think that takes some what do you call it? Integrity or courage sometimes. So I think Arca does a good job. But the problem, as Ham points out in all these stocks, is if a squeeze were to happen, the chart doesn't mean anything. And what I would love is if one of these works, we as a group can go to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And by the time we get through 3, 4, 5 of them, it'll probably be over. But hopefully all of you all can make a lot of money. Hopefully. Maybe I have something like 300 people that are in blocked. Maybe I should just give them all amnesty. I don't know. It's been a nerve-shattering experience for me, sir. Well, the market makers are just bad guys. I mean, you've seen that one. I can never find things when I want, but you've seen the one about he just takes the orders to sell, and they're happy to take the order. They don't check. Yeah, I think I did. I think Matt E. I don't know who put Matt E. in purgatory, but I think I released him. I think I'll look. When I did it for ocean sailing, I saw so many names in there. I had put maybe a dozen people I blocked, maybe 10, but I didn't. Well, partly because of the action this morning, the stock traded up over $4. So I saw that as a break in the pattern. Although let's see where it closed. They probably got it down by the end of the day. Yeah, they got it to 329, but it was as high as 444. So that was the first indication in a while that maybe buying is outstripping some of this selling. I think you do need a what's the word? I don't know what word to use. Uplift. It's so terrible word. You need a strong movement up in the stock in a day that kind of gets the buy side computers buying. And I don't know where that starts, but I think today seeing it go to 444 was an indication that it is ready to move. Now, the fact that they fought it back and got it down to 329, I mean, that could give one some pause, but it doesn't. I think today's action shows that the stock is picking up buyers. Now, the problem is, all in, when I used to trade and manage accounts, selling could run out of strength. Selling never runs out of strength under Gary Gensler's markets, because you can sell. You go to market makers who don't require you to locate shares, to borrow shares, or to settle. And Gary Gensler's never going to enforce settlement. He just doesn't. So they have room to sell without any limit. They can lie. And if there's some sort of enforcement action, they'll have their white shoed lawyers get them a white collar crime settlement. They don't go to jail. That's for Joe Biden's crime bill. 3 strikes, you're out. Advocated by Hillary Clinton and signed by Bill Clinton. Democrats, 3 strikes, you're out. If you're Joe Biden's son, crack cocaine, guns, hookers, drugs, get an attorney. If you're a brown-skinned lad, Hispanic, African American, poor, good luck. And maybe a white guy from Appalachia, you can't get a lawyer. 3 strikes, you're out. 30 years. That's Joe Biden's America. Destroying families, depriving families of fathers and brothers. They don't look like him, though. His son's okay. But hey, we better go after Trump. Better go after Trump. That guy, man. It's just terrible how he treats women. Look how he treats his daughter and his granddaughters and his wife. It's just terrible. I mean, he won't even hire attorneys who are female. He won't hire people to run construction sites who are female. I mean, he's just a terrible guy. So we got to stick with Biden. Anyway, ZJYL to me popped up its head today. So that's why I think it'll be next week. Normally nothing happens on a Friday. Otherwise, I would have said tomorrow. And I think all in the same information is still there. I'll repeat it for you. Before the split, before the forward split, there were 8 or 9 million shares out. Of that, 80, 90%, 85% were held by insiders. 1.2 million shares approximately was the float. One group of guys owns 1.3 million of the float. Of that group, one of the whales is an original stockholder asking for his 500 or 700, I've heard both numbers, 700,000 shares to be delivered into his physical possession to cause pressure on IBKR and the float. That's all still there. None of the whales have sold. None. The price of the stock is down because friends of Gary Gensler's buddies who shorted the stock that they don't own, and Gary Gensler doesn't care, and Adina Friedman does not care. They just sell endlessly. And it's not algorithms. It's not computers just selling because the sell side has better computers than the buy side. It's not what it is. They're just counterfeiting shares. So they sold stock down, more stock that they won't settle. Well, prior to the split, the rumor was that there were 10 million shares naked, 10 million shares counterfeited. Well, one group of guys owns the entire float, and they're asking for physical delivery of half of that. The insiders can't sell for 80 or 85% of the stock outstanding. What happens? Well, in Gary Gensler's world, you don't require criminals to settle the trades that they artificially sold stock. You don't require it. Why? They're good customers. They're best customers at Goldman, and my fortune was made at Goldman Sachs. I'm Gary Gensler. I don't care about individual investors. I don't care about the integrity of the US markets. I don't care if laws are violated. Why? Because I'm just here warming this seat so that I can become Treasury Secretary under Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton. Just don't care. So there was more shorting in ZJYL, but all in, how did that help them? How does it help them? 10 million on the forward split becomes 200 million short. Let's say they shorted another few million shares. How does that solve their problem? You might have sold, some of the people listening might have sold. If I sold, I'd sell 400 shares, 420 shares. What's that going to do? How does that solve the shorts problem? They're trapped. Can I prove it? No. Can I prove it? Can a customs agent prove that Pablo Escobar brought in hundreds of billions of dollars worth of cocaine to the country? No. Do criminals do this out in the open to get timestamps? No. But ZJYL is the same story it was for the last few weeks. I will admit it's gone from 11. I wish I'd sold at 11, bought it back at 350, but I didn't. Because if and when the only thing that's going to force covering, it's not going to be Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler is captured. He has no backbone. He has no integrity. Adina Friedman makes $2 million a year, woman's power. Wow, I'm great, but I don't have to do my job. Robert the Crook Cook can't fit into his suit, and he's lucky to have his job. So he's not going to raise any waves. And this other Cromwell, Caldwell, Cruella DeVille guy, he's laughable. They don't care. So the shorting continues, and the shorting continues, and the shorting continues. What the criminals are hoping in ZJYL is they drive it down and finally everyone sells and it collapses further and the company issues stock like all the other stocks. They enter into some deal and they get out of their problem. But what's happened here is you've got a group of guys. I don't know them. I think I know one of them. But you have a group of guys who own the whole float. Do you think they bought it so they're going to be shaken out at $3 or $2? I don't think so. If anything, they're buying more. If anything, other people are buying. If anything, the shorts have been rope-a-doped. So the reason I think it'll happen next week is I don't think it'll happen tomorrow. And the stock went to 444 today. They did manage to get it back down. It's only 770,000 shares. It's not massive. But that was the first time over what, 8-9 days that the criminals didn't have their way. So anyway, that's why I think it'll be next week. Maybe it's not next week. Maybe it's the following week. Maybe it's a month from now. Maybe we have to wait a year. I don't know. But I'm not selling. I should have. I should have sold at 10, bought back at 4, but I didn't. I already answered Rick. I don't know if you're a real person, but Lou went into the hospital for an operation. I hope he's still in the hospital. But my understanding from many different sources is that Lou passed away. I think it's very sad. I think we each should take time to say our prayers for Lou and for his family. And I think I think if you need a basis to ask for God's forbearance with Lou, is the help that he offered a lot of people over the last few years in the over-the-counter markets. He passed away on March 12th. I'm sorry to hear that. How old was he? He didn't seem like an old guy. And I wonder if his family's okay. That's tough. It's tough. Yeah, Rick. Okay. You didn't hear me when I answered your question. Yeah, it's born in 1969. Wow. So he's in his 50s. Yeah. Hey, there's Lou. Yeah, it's the ignoring the trading and all of that is just so young. It's just so young. And I always respected him for having the vision to see that collectively there was an opportunity to trade for a profit. And I think he had a huge following. So he must have helped a lot of people. Must have. So it's just a shame. It's just a shame. I didn't know that, Lion. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Yeah, Ricky, that's what happened. I if I had extra money, I would be buying. But you know, this is all speculative. It's manipulated, and the selling is relentless. But in the case of ZJYL, I think what we're doing, we are fleas or ticks or you know, birds on the top of a rhinoceros. Or better, we're barnacles on a whale. The whale is going to see this through. The whales are. And they've got a lot more weapons than we do. But the problem in Gary Gensler's markets is that Gary Gensler encourages the unlimited sale of stock that does not exist. Oh, no. There's systems in place. There's no system in place. Why? Because it helps Goldman Sachs Prime Brokerage. Well, here, this might be good. It's pinned to the 200-day moving average, I assume you're saying? Well, whatever, Northwest. I don't think the market makers have any power. Market makers are just grease balls that accept orders. It's the call them hedge funds, call them LLCs, call them prime brokers. Those are where the sales are coming from. It's not the market makers. Market makers are just clearing the trades. All right, I'm going to just quickly see how. All right, I got Arizona. It looks like Nevada might win. That's boring. It's boring. All right, let me look this up. What was I looking up? Oh, the chart. ZJYL. Oh, I see what you're saying. That's the 200-day moving average. Look, it could go lower if you want to be negative, Northwest. You certainly could be, and you'd be by your rights to be negative. But it hasn't broken the 200-day moving average. On the other hand, now that I said it, that's what they'll try to do tomorrow, just so that everyone go, oh my God. But if it were to break down from that, you know, it could go lower. But I don't. And it's funny, I'm looking at the pennant that I thought it was going to break out to the upside. Sure enough, once it broke to the downside, it went further. That's the thing about pennants. When they break out, it moves in that direction. But looking at the volume, it's very low. And I know you're counting on the algorithms and the market makers. I would agree with you that chart action of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days with 3 sideways days. So for 10 days, it essentially went down. All counterfeit, all fake. It doesn't look good. They got it to break out of the pennant. And maybe you're right. Maybe it was algorithmic, computerized trading, just sell, sell, sell. But what I see as a positive is it has bounced now 4 times off of the 200-day moving average. Today it went to 440, 450. And on my chart, I can't see where the 20-day moving average is today. It looks like it's well above $5, maybe even $6. But the stock, that's where I think the stock's going. I would think tomorrow you're going to see a movement to the $6 range, much more than to the downside. But who knows? Who knows? All I can say is Northwest, it doesn't change the facts. And you can look at charts. Prior to the 20-for-1 forward split, there were somewhat over 8 million shares outstanding. 85% of that was closely held, therefore not available for sale. The float was 1.2 million, roughly. A small group of guys own 1.3 million. They're asking for either 500 or 700,000 shares to be taken out of the system and put in their name. So the float will go down to 500, 700,000. And the short position at that time was over 10 million shares by rumor. You can't prove it. You can't prove it. There's systems in place. That couldn't happen. There's systems in place. Well, whatever. You shouldn't buy it if you believe there's systems in place. So their average cost was $1. Pre-split, it was $20 to $25. Post-split, that's 200 million shares short that have to be covered. So it looks like, looking at the volume, maybe they sold another few million shares that don't exist. And you're going to say it's the market makers, you're going to say it's the algos. Fine. You're certainly going to be right a lot of the time. But Northwest Sasquatch, if you don't believe that having a dedicated group of guys own more than the entire float, having guys bigger than we are, challenging this situation because of its imbalance, if you don't think that's going to work, you shouldn't own the stock. I think the odds are set up in our favor to see a movement. But if it's your view, Northwest, that Gary Gensler allows unlimited selling of counterfeit shares, his shills say, oh, it's all algorithmic. You can't just add up the sales because there's buying as well. I mean, I don't see where the buying shows up. Don't trade it. There's much better stocks to trade. Go buy Tesla. Go buy Nvidia. Go show your skills trading with the 7 or 8 stocks that the Treasury Department funds Ken Griffin to buy. Just trade those. But if you want to expose yourself to outsized potential gains, this is a stock that went from, I don't know, 50 cents. Well, no, it went from about $1 something, maybe $1.50 to $28 in one day. That's CJYL. And you're saying that the market makers, this is what you get. Well, what about on that day, Northwest Sasquatch? Why did the market makers lose control? Because they're all powerful? I don't know. I mean, you have your point of view and you want to share it here, which I would say 89, 95 days out of 100, you're going to be right. Because doom and gloom and FUD and, the system is terrible and these guys are just pumps and dumpsters. Yeah, that works. But there are days it doesn't work, Northwest. And if you had owned ZJYL at $1, under $1, you could have bought it under $1 all year long. On that one day, you had a chance to get out at $26. The next day, you could have gotten out at 10. Then it collapsed, and then it rallied back over the next handful of days, and you could have gotten out at 11, 12, 16, $17. Then it collapsed, and it rallied back over those days, and you had chances to get out at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, $17. And they pulled it down, and then it rallied back to 11 just now, which is when I probably should have sold, but I didn't. And now they've crashed it for many days. Well, actually, at 11 was probably not the time to sell, but if you had courage at 650 was probably a good time to sell because it broke down. But I don't think that's going to be the final chapter of this story with ZJYL. But if you want to be negative, don't own the stock. I mean, don't torture yourself. If you know what you know, just get out of all of them. Just don't be in them. Just abandon ship. I think the ones that you list, there's going to be good news, I think, coming soon on Finger. We've been anticipating that now for quite a while. And I think Finger on its own basis is going to be worth tens of dollars a share, maybe $100 a share. Some numbers are much higher just on its fundamentals, but you want to be negative. I get that. I don't know anything about AMC or GME, except I think both of those gave you a chance to make a ton of money. A ton. I think they're totally under control. GTII, I've told you for quite a while now that there is a commitment by big investors to make that work. Whether or not management will listen, I don't know. But Northwest, if you don't believe it, you don't have to be in it. If you believe Ham, he said the other day, 500 million shares short. Well, if you believe guys that worked at the Amex, there's no way. There's systems in place. You can't just add up the naked short numbers day after day after day, because that doesn't take into account the covering that doesn't show up in the price, but somehow they cover somewhere, and it's not disclosed. And just trust me, it's happening, because this is my point of view. I used to work at the Amex, and I know. Well, that's a theory. It might be true. It very well might be true, but it's a theory. It's not provable. I find it hard to believe that there's that many shares short in GTII. However, in court documents provided by the NSCC, they stated that Alpine was deficient because of a large naked short position in GTII. I guess it's not proof. I mean, if it's in black and white and submitted to a court, that can't be proof. Because there's systems in place. It doesn't happen. They don't short stocks. If that's what you believe, don't trade them. Of the ones you've listed that you're focused on there, you've listed 5 stocks. I think ZJYL is the one to own. Would I be happier with myself if I had sold it at 11 or 9 or 7 or 6 and bought it back here? Yes. Am I an idiot that I'm still sitting in it and it's down? Why would one sit in it? Because you expect to squeeze. Am I prepared? If it goes back down to 1 or 50 cents, am I prepared to just say, darn it, it didn't work? Yeah, probably. I don't have enough money in it to change my life. But I know that if it does squeeze, it's going to be outsized returns. That's why people gamble in these. But if you want to be negative, be negative. Get out. There's 7 stocks, 8 stocks that the Fed and the Treasury buy every single day, and all the other hedge funds buy. Just get on that gravy train. Hopefully you get out before it collapses, but just get on it. Now, of the 5 that you picked, ZJYL, I think will squeeze. Am I going to be right? Who knows? Flip a coin. I think it could happen within the next 2 weeks. Am I going to be right? I don't know. The second one is Finger. I would own Finger. It's a $2 stock. Even the criminals at Benchmark, my judgment, have it as a $5 stock. I'm not going to go through my breakdown on Finger, but there's 6 or 7 avenues of revenue, and Finger could be a $100 stock, ignoring the shorts. But let's say it just goes to 10 or 15. Is that a good trade? Let's say from $2 it goes to $8. Let's say it goes to $6. $2 to $6. Nice trade. So of the 4 that you have there, ZJYL number 1, Finger number 2, GTII, at some point, I'll be able to say the market's telling you something's happening. Right now, I think you can take the risk to just wait. But it's a risk, because if Alpine goes down, or if the NSCC steps in, or if the stock price starts moving, GTII could be up a few bucks. And you won't come on and say, hey, GTII is working, because it won't fit your narrative of fudstering. AMC and GME, I think, are totally under control. Crooked as hell, totally under control. Popcorn has done more deals with the criminals. He might as well work for the criminals. I don't see any squeeze happening in either one of those. Probably going to be wrong. Probably going to be wrong. They're not going to let Trump win. They won't let him win. I have 2 concerns about Trump. One I can't talk about, but he did fast track something when he was president, and I wasn't a fan of that decision. Secondly, Trump is somehow both an anti-Semite and the single largest supporter of Israel in our country. And leaving the politics out of that, I think if the United States supports Israel in its genocide, which the certain right-wing parts of Israel are committing on the Palestinian people, the United States is going to be in trouble with the rest of the world. The actions of a few months ago, I remember the number being 1,700 killed. Although, if you want to be honest, if people want to look at it honestly, a huge percentage of that 1,700 killed were killed by friendly fire. Young soldiers scared, shooting, helicopters shooting, and apparently under orders to shoot. But we'll leave that aside. 1,700. The latest numbers out of Palestine, out of Gaza Strip, over 30,000 people, citizens, human beings, slaughtered. 30,000. Jared Kushner came out, the arrogant prick, and said that Gaza Strip has great beachfront property. We should move all the people out and monetize it. I'm paraphrasing. Well, if that's going to be the attitude under the Trump administration, count me out. Palestinians don't have rights. Of that 30,000, more than half were children. More than half were children. I heard a measurement, which I'd have to check, but the Gaza Strip is no bigger than the LAX airport. That's what I heard. It's something like 24 miles long and 5 miles wide. 2.5, 2.7 million people. Half are children. They were born there. They've never been anywhere else. Hospitals destroyed. Water systems destroyed. Food not available. 30% of the population is on the verge of dying because of starvation. Half of that is children. So anyway, if Trump carries on Netanyahu's policies, I think the United States will be in trouble worldwide. I think Trump, if he's elected, his first effort will be to go meet with Putin. That was something that Hillary Clinton took away from him because of her Russia lies paid for, treasonous acts, in my judgment. But Trump effectively could not show any opening to Russia. But I think Trump will go see Putin and will stop the war in the Ukraine. I hope so. But if we side with the criminal Netanyahu and we side with the slaughter of Palestinian people, the genocide, we'll be in trouble. We'll be in a lot of trouble. So I hope Trump sees beyond it. And I hope his prick of a son-in-law, Jared Kushner, stays out of the White House this time. Yay, you did it. That's great, Scott. That is great. And that's good for Beery. What went on with Apple? Wow, Mark, that's pretty amazing. I don't know if you'll be good next week. I'm not Santa Claus. But I think ZJYL will go up next week. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. All right, so Maddie and Keith Musner, I'll try to go in and unblock them. I think that was that guy Lee blocking people. I did block some people, but I don't think I blocked Maddie or Keith Munzer. I blocked nameless people. All right, let me just see what else, and I'm going to get off this. Hey, John Croissant, you moved from California. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Hundreds of bash comments every day. That's good. Mother of all squeezes. I think I haven't seen anything in the stock price that necessarily shows anything, but I'll say something about GTII. It's firm. The price is firm. And you got to keep your eye. See, the problem is GTII. I don't have enough money to be heavily in everything, so I have to move things around. And but you know, the risk reward on GTII is excellent, excellent, absolutely excellent. If GTII can get back to the 2022 all-time high, it could go to, yeah. The key is GTII is that the prime broker, in this case it's Alpine, who's hired attorneys to fight some idiot lawsuit that the Justice Department, a judge saw some credence in. They probably no longer have their own capital at risk, or they've written it off. So it's the next step up. Whoever is in charge of Alpine now, whoever's overseeing it, if the price goes up and the losses start eating into whatever capital they have, they're going to cover it. The way to get these prime brokers is in their pocket. It's not by the regulators. It's not by Congress. All of those people are captured. It's by losing money. And they'll buy in. They'll take what seems to us to be huge losses. It's just a cost of doing business. CTNT. Let me just look at the chart. I won't remember that one, I don't think. CN. No. CTNT. Cheetah. I remember Cheetah. I remember the name. I don't know. $1.85. I mean, that chart, you can make some positive viewpoints on that chart. What I don't like, and you should listen to Avid or Ace or Arca or Lion, because I'm not much of a chartist. But what I don't like about this is that was a very severe collapse. It was trading 2 to 225, and they just crushed it down to $1.30 And yes, it's now trading back up in the $1.61, $1.81. It got above the 50-day moving average, above the 20-day moving average. But I just think that was pretty damaging. So that's my negative. The positive is it seems to be building a bit of a, I don't know if you call it a pennant, but it seems to be building a bit of a pennant or and as long as it could stay over sort of the 161 level for a while, and it breaks out, this chart is so bad. It's got 181. That's my eyesight. And it could break out above 181. In my opinion, the $2 and $2 to $2.25 probably wouldn't be an issue again. Could be, but it probably wouldn't be. Maybe 225 would be, actually, looking over here. So that might be where it'll struggle. If it gets through 250, though, you got a runner. I think you got a runner. So it's interesting. It's interesting. I don't know enough about it, but I can see why you're drawn to it. Yeah, I'm sorry, Rick, for your pain. And I also, all we can do is pray, and pray for his family too. He touched a lot of people. The Delu love lines. Is it worth the heartache you'll bring? So you're on the cruise ship. CMG? When did they do that? There's John, I don't know if you invest in these things, but I met with a client of mine last week, a company who is raising money. And, if people are interested, I can put you in touch. I don't have an arrangement with the company, but it's a restaurant company that's based here, Pennsylvania, North Carolina. I can't remember, but they've got either 49 or 54 stores, and they're expanding to 100, and they're raising money at the $100 million market cap valuation level. But one of the comparisons is Chipotle's, and just to show what an idiot I was, I thought that the stock Chipotle's was owned by McDonald's, just to show. But they've done it. They're doing a 50-for-1 split. It's not a forward split. Let me think about that. Let me read it. 50-for-1. I don't think that's a forward split. It's the first stock split in their history. No, I guess you're right. It is a forward split. But anyway, John, let me look at the chart. I guess you're right. It gets confusing. this company here, I went to my friend put 5 million into the company, and I went to one of their sites. It's brilliant. I think they're gonna, in a few years, they have a headquarters in Northern Virginia. I think in a few, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, they'll either sell or go public in, I mean, billions of dollars. So anyway, I don't know how much more they were trying to raise between 10 and 30 million at 100 million valuation. Anybody that's interested, send me an email. I can put you in touch with them. And like I say, I have nothing to do with it. It's not the most exciting chart I've ever seen. Let me go out for 5 years and look. Interesting. Am I looking at the right stock? No, I'm not. I'm not looking at the right stock. Oh, that's much better. That's a much better stock price chart. Much better stock price. Gosh, this trades like one of the S&P 6. That's a beautiful chart. A little overextended, but hey, it looks like it's popping up. It's a nice call, John. I've never blocked Ken Griffin. Yeah, ocean sailing. I always found him to be a bit of a self-promoter, bit of a, what do you call the band guy with the baton? Get all the credit, but he's not doing the marching. Band drummer, I can't remember what it's called. He did a deal, and I don't know if he realized it, and I don't remember the details. It was 8 months ago. It's just devastating. But he's not the only CEO. He's not the only CEO. The email address, John, is this. And just mention, if you're interested in this restaurant company, just mention that you are. Mention Chipotle. He compared it to Chipotle, Sweet Green, and what was the other one? There's another one. And they're all billions of dollars. I just did this because it's my name. Fair and balanced. Fair and balanced. Like Fox Noise. Fair and balanced at gmail.com. And I have a list of people to get back to, which I'm going to do shortly. Just, he's raising money now. And, I loved it. I didn't sign up to raise money for him because my investor, my friend, put in money. But she's who brought me to the investment. So, I mean, there's no role for me. Apparently she put in 5 million. Oh, give it a rest. I've never seen a single question of yours based on facts. Let me go up here and see what your last question was. It's so tiring. So tiring. Lou dies, and we've got to deal with this. Put your shares in a fire safe box or something. Geez, people can be so clueless. Oh, that's factual. I don't see any other questions from you, so I guess that's what we'll have to go on. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's overheating. Kristen's the best. I wish they could let me sort by names. And I wish my computer wouldn't freeze. Yeah, Kristen's the best. I don't see any more questions from that guy. So he must have erased them. Yeah, that's a shame. It is a shame. I answered that, I think, but yeah, I would move it all. Why leave it? Ginger soft dried candy. I like that idea. Ginger soft dried candy. I like that idea. Thank you. And eucalyptus tea is another good idea. I like both ideas. All right. Okay, so thank you, John. I'll look it up. I have to go to FedEx to open it, but I have a list of people to get back to. And for some reason, when I do it on this thing, it just gets into one of my other emails. So anyway, I'll get to it. Yeah, I'm not very optimistic on GNS ocean sailing. Let me just look at that chart. And yeah, it's not going anywhere, unfortunately. Drum major. That's what I was thinking. Drum major. He's like a drum major. All right. So let me just check my tournament. Oh, this is not. That's ESPN. I don't want ESPN. Oh, I guess it is ESPN. I thought I was. Oh, shoot. I thought I was on CBS. I hope. I might not have even put it into my group. Oh well. All right, let's see where I am. Okay, so I have Illinois beating Moorhead, and it looks like that's going to happen or did happen. So I can recover from that mistake. And I have North Carolina beating Mississippi, so I can recover from that mistake, I think. Yeah. And Nevada is now losing to Dayton, so I may well not win that one. Or is that already over? Dayton won. So I lost in that case. But luckily I have Arizona beating. All right. Oregon. I wouldn't say that I'm doing that well. Let me see if I can find out on our group. I am tied for 17th. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in 17th place. I'm a wiener. God, John Doby has 100%. This one guy has 100%. Number 2 guy, John Mancini, has 95. 2 people. 1, 2, 3, 3 people have 95%. Oh, well. All right, everybody. I'm going to sign off. Wish everyone the best. I don't know what to say about Lou, sweet Lou. Just say a prayer for him and for his family. And thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you all tomorrow.